Welcome into Orange Press Pass following a phenomenal football game between Syracuse and UConn. The Orange take this one over the Huskies 27-20 in a game where it had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of seesaws, but somehow Syracuse gets out of this one with the victory. But first, guys, let's take a look at the bigger picture of what's going on in Syracuse right now. Carmelo Anthony getting inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight, guys, was massive in that 2003 National Championship. He goes to Springfield tonight. Should be a lot of fun to watch that one.
Yeah, definitely. You want to talk about massive? How about the centerpiece of that 2003 National Championship team? And a real legend here in the 315 in the central New York area as well. Playing days with the Knicks and Nuggets as well. Growing up as a Knicks fan myself, I was a huge Carmelo Anthony guy. Then coming to Syracuse as well, that helped. So congratulations to him, and great to see for the Orange program.
Yeah, before we talk football, gotta mention hoops, of course. 2003 Carmelo Anthony. Kids nowadays, you mentioned Mello, and all you hear is LaMelo Ball. How about Carmelo Anthony really put Syracuse on the map? Obviously a basketball school before that, but that 2003 season is what's in Springfield for this season.
Well, you mentioned Springfield. We're going to head down to Springfield because our own Dan Shalom is there to capture all the action of Melo's induction.
Thanks so much, guys. Just a few hours away from Carmelo being enshrined in the Hall of Fame here in Springfield, Mass. It was a beautiful day to start out, but now a tornado warning in effect for the rest of the afternoon and evening. So apologies for looking a little bit disheveled. But for Carmelo, the festivities started last night down at Mohegan Sun. He received his Hall of Fame jacket from his son and current SU basketball player, Kyan Anthony. He also spoke to the media, and what he said is that he is so proud to be representing New York State as he played for Syracuse and the New York Knicks in his career. He also went on to say that he never thought that he would even make it to this point, coming out of Baltimore, stating that the odds were stacked against him from the start. But being here in Springfield and now getting inducted tonight is the honor of a lifetime. Carmelo will be just the fourth ever person from Syracuse to get inducted into the Hall in just a few hours' time. I'll have you with coverage from the ceremony on my Twitter at Dan_Shalom starting at 7. But for now, back to you guys in studio.
Thanks so much, Dan. It means a whole lot for Melo to get into the Hall of Fame, but I think a quick little debate I think we could have as Syracuse students is Melo one of the greatest Syracuse athletes of all time in your guys' book?
Is that a question?
Of course he is, 100%. I mean, he might be the greatest. I mean, I know there's some legends up there, but you think about recency and what he's done for this program. I mean, you walk around here in the 315, and there's two jerseys you mainly see. You see Donovan McNabb, see a little bit of Ernie, you see Ernie Davis, and the other one is Carmelo Anthony. That number 15 plastered everywhere in the bookstores and all around campus. You see fans walking to football games in number 15 Carmelo Anthony jerseys.
Soon a fourth jersey could be Steve Angeli.
Maybe we'll get to him in a little bit, but my answer is still Jim Brown nevertheless. But you talk big picture stuff. Let's talk about that big picture around the NCAA. Another week 2 filled Saturday of college football. We're still in the early non-conference game, guys, but what's the biggest game maybe stands out? I'm looking at that Illinois game, really taking it to Duke on the road today.
Yeah, that was a big one, but how about the game coming up later? Michigan and Oklahoma, College game day, going for that contest. That should be a fun one. A lot of hype around Bryce Underwood and this Wolverine squad.
How about Baylor taking down 17 SMU in the ACC? Look, in overtime, Baylor takes down an ACC foe. How about that? Helps Syracuse out just a tad.
Well, the Orange really saved this one, and it was the play of their quarterback guy, Steve Angeli. Phenomenal in the second half of this game. Rahill, what was the biggest difference for that first half from Angeli, now the second half of really saving the game and basically saving Syracuse's season?
Well, I think it all started mainly with the fact that the Orange decided to go a little bit of hurry-up offense, Drew. I think that was the key. Syracuse's offensive line is extremely weak. They get bullied every game. They're going to get bullied mostly every game this season, and they have been in the first two. But once they started to run hurry-up, Angeli got more into a groove, and that's why the Orange were able to get back in it down 17-6 with just 5 minutes left and somehow coming away with the win.
Angeli just 155 yards in that first half, comes away with 262 yards in the second half. And it was really a quarterback that looked completely different between the first and the second. Really, you can separate it to the first 3 quarters, and then in that fourth quarter, domination from Angeli in the fourth. And you got to give a lot of credit to the offensive line down the stretch, because in that first 30 or so minutes of the game,
it was rough.
It was rough, to say the very least. Angeli pressured, was constantly not able to put the ball into people's hands, and overall rushed, sloppy, negativity surrounding the Dome. There were chants in the Dome, let's start Ricky Collins. Yeah. And the fourth quarter, And Jelly responds in a big way.
Well, the big thing I think away from that as well is the amount of free rushes that UConn got on Stephen Jelly in this ball game. For him to still stay composed, had over 400 yards on 50 passing attempts, really the savior in this game, guys, to keep Syracuse back to a 500 record. But let's get to the other side of the ball. The defense was okay in this ball game, I would say. The defense, though, in the second half, Drew, much better than the first half, I'd say.
Much better from a points perspective, Andrew, but when you look at the statistics overall, pretty similar. 73 rushing yards in the first half, and the second half, 69 rushing yards. Just under 200 yards in the first half, just over 200 yards in the second half. But when all is said and done, what do you get paid for? You get paid to keep points off of the scoreboard. Gave up 14 in that first half. In the second, give up 6. And we're going to talk a lot about Angeli, about that offense in the last 5 minutes. But the star of the show, and really what kept Syracuse in this game, the defense.
Yeah, definitely the defense. You got to give them a lot of credit because they made a couple of big plays. Let's not forget that Angeli threw an interception near midfield right before the Orange really kicked it into gear, and the defense saving the day. And mainly because, Andrew, they actually tackled for somewhat of the fourth quarter because in the first 3 quarters we were screaming, tackle, wrap up. Everyone just want to hold each other, give each other hugs. But finally, they wrapped up and they got some tackles. A real good effort from Fran Brown and his squad in the second half.
And this game wasn't even going to get to overtime if Skylar Bell didn't have one of the most miraculous catches I've ever seen. A one-handed grab over 2 or 3 different Syracuse defenders. Great stuff by the defense today.
Well, the defense really did save the team in that second half to give the offense a chance. Basically, with Angeli, they go down the field, come back at this ball game to eventually win it. But again, still those slow starts. We saw it from last game for Syracuse, where Angeli and the rest of this team had a tough time gelling in this ball game. But what is going wrong in the first half of these games, guys? Rahill, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, today, the first half was unacceptable. I mean, you can get away with it in games against Tennessee when you're going up against big-time SEC squads, but this is UConn. I know they made a bowl game last year, and I know they're much improved, but Drew, it has to be a lot better, and it was really sloppy all the way around. Head coach Fran Brown has to figure this out, but I will give the Orange credit because Fran Brown has done a good job in his tenure of making adjustments in the latter stages of games. And how about this? Fran Brown, as a head coach and assistant coach, has now not lost back-to-back games throughout his time. A real effort for this squad.
1 turnover and both of the 2 sides in the first half and in the second half. And it didn't seem that way out of the gate. Syracuse goes down 85 yards, goes for it on 4th down, and ended up being the wrong decision. Syracuse in that first half, 4 red zone trips, just 6 points. That can't slide against teams like Clemson, which is just around the corner. Against UConn, it's just enough.
It was just enough, guys, and Jelly was massive in this game, and a big part, Justice Ross Simmons, our Orange Press Pass player of the game. Look, phenomenal in that second half. He finishes with 5 catches for 83 yards, 2 scores in the big one coming on 4th down late in the 4th quarter. Syracuse down by 11. They needed a spark. They go to this guy, Justice Ross Simmons, for a 53-yard touchdown to get Syracuse back into it. The defense saves him a little bit. He gets back into the offense in a couple of plays down the stretch. And then also in overtime as well, the game-winning score where he barely keeps his hands in, barely keeps the feet, and reels it in for that second touchdown to give Syracuse the victory in this one. All right, Justice Ross Simmons, your Orange Press Pass player of the game. We're going to take a short break here on OPP, but when we come back, it was some struggles early on for Syracuse. How'd they get back in this game, though? We'll send you all the highlights of how this one went down inside the Dome after this. Welcome back here into Orange Press Pass following Syracuse's 27-20 victory over UConn in overtime. The Orange survived this one. Drew Albaugh, Rahill, Jaiswal, I'm Andrew Della, Piana. Guys, we've already taken a pretty big dive into this ball game. But Rahill, your first thoughts from actually watching this game about an hour or so wrapping up in the Dome?
Yeah, How in the world did Syracuse come back and win this football game? I mean, for 55 minutes, they were lifeless, and that's putting it pretty nicely, Drew. I mean, you could throw a couple expletives in there about how you want to assess their first half performance, but somehow, someway, they come through. The hurry-up offense is the savior. Syracuse steals one in the Dome for their first win of the year.
I'm speechless. I mean, I really am. In the last 5.5 minutes of that football game, it was over. Nate Cunningham, who's in the producing room over there somewhere, by the way, he comes in short notice. He said the game's over. He said, it might go into overtime just as a joke. And it actually does go into overtime. And Steve Angeli actually does turn it around. And Fran Brown actually does figure it out. He finds his magic in the hurry-up offense down the stretch. Wow, wow, wow. There's nothing else to say. That game was absolutely fantastic, terrific, whatever other adjective you want to use. That's what this was. Sloppy, sure, but a win is a win. And Syracuse, first win of the season.
And a much-needed one at that, where this team could have fallen apart, gone to 0-2, but it was the overtime that made the biggest difference. How about Antoine Delore in that overtime? The freshman coming up big with that huge stop in the back half to win the ball game. But the way Syracuse orchestrated that first drive in overtime, Steve Angeli really picking up where he did in the second half.
Yeah, definitely, and it was a real carryover from how the game ended. I mean, you look at the way things started after the interception, Angeli was absolutely fantastic. The Orange went touchdown, touchdown, and then they had the kneel down on that one-play drive.
Well, that wasn't a
drive.
That
doesn't really count. And then they go touchdown again. Absolutely phenomenal. Still don't know how Syracuse managed to pull it off, but in the end, they get the job done in overtime. And great job from the defense as well, stepping up on that 4th and 3, a little no-look style with that block at the end of the game to win it.
Well, I know how they figured it out. They figured it out because Steve Angeli figured it out. He turned it around at the back half of the 4th quarter and then in overtime, of course. And my goodness, UConn at the very end implodes.
Oh, brutal.
Absolutely
Brutal for the
implodes.
Huskies. Brutal.
And Syracuse under Fran Brown still has not lost back-to-back games.
Yeah, still a lot of magic. He hasn't lost back-to-back games as being an assistant coach back in 2021 with Georgia. All right, enough talk about this ball game. Let's show you how it went down inside the Dome. This was a phenomenal ball game between UConn and Syracuse, where the Orange, coming after that loss to Tennessee, really needed a spark and maybe a team against a non-conference opponent to get things done in this one. And Syracuse start this ball game driving down the field, getting a little bit of momentum, but the red zone guys really struggling. They try the trick play, getting Valari underneath. He doesn't get there. Really, Syracuse struggled in the red zone the first half, guys.
Yeah, not a bad play call there. I understand what the Orange were doing, but at that point, you might want to try and keep it a little more simple.
And then UConn goes trickery on the ensuing drive with Alex Waring, the wide receiver. He throws this one on a double pass to give the Huskies a 7-0 lead. Syracuse trying to scrap back in this one. Angeli, though, we talked about the early struggles. 10 incompletions in the first half, but Trip Woody, the kicker for Syracuse, makes his first collegiate field goal. The transfer from Iowa makes it a 7-3 ball game. Couple possessions later, UConn late first half. Now Mel Brown takeoff mode down the sideline. He is in from over 40 yards to make it a 14-3 game. Syracuse tacked on a field goal at the end of the first half thanks to a phenomenal catch by Darren Gill Jr. on the sideline to keep the toes in it. Woody would nail the field goal to take things into the halftime with UConn up 14-6 and a lot of question marks for Syracuse, Drew.
A lot of question marks, not a lot of answers, and UConn just kept rolling in the early parts of the second half. Really, it was the first 3 quarters versus the 4th quarter for Syracuse.
It was a completely different Syracuse team in this second half with Damian Brinson nearly getting the interception there against Steve Angeli. And Syracuse really needs to find a way to claw back in this game. Who do they find? Justice Ross Simmons from 53 yards out. Syracuse would miss the 2-point conversion. It's only a 5-point game with just about 5 minutes to go. Syracuse marches down the field once more. Yasin Willis gets in to give Syracuse its first lead of the ball game after scoring 3 touchdowns a week ago. For the Orange, they would continue to push. They would get the 2-point conversion to make it a 1-possession game, a 3-point game. But Skylar Pell in the midfield on 4th and 10 saves the game for the Huskies in what might have been the catch of the year, guys.
Yeah, I still don't know how he came down with that in double coverage.
And then Chris Freeman drills the field goal from 41 yards out. We are going to overtime inside the Dome, and Syracuse wins this one. Justice Ross Simmons, the game-winning catch in the final couple of plays of overtime to win this game for Syracuse. And somehow the Orange escaped this one to go to 1-1 against the Huskies, Drew.
If I had to draw a blueprint for how Syracuse was going to beat UConn, it's Yasin Willis turning out 100-plus yards, maybe a couple of touchdowns. No, instead, under 15 rushing yards. And Steve Angeli, you blink, you might miss it, 417 yards passing on 52 attempts. My goodness.
I mean, it's insane. Now, if you're Syracuse, you would like to have that even out a little more. I don't think Steve Angeli throwing 52 pass attempts is the recipe for success. But in the end, you got to give credit to head coach Fran Brown as they figured it out. A lot of fans always say during games, figure it out. Well, they figured it out and they walk away with the win.
Fran Brown has to realize, though, that Angeli is not Cal McCord.
No,
this is not a guy you can put. You got to run the football. Yasin Willis looked really good against Tennessee. Maybe go back to him a little bit more in week 3 against Colgate.
I think that's been the biggest surprise, is Yasin Willis not getting as many touches as maybe we expected. Because think about it, the message all week from Fran Brown was we have to get the football to our best guy. That's been Yasin Willis. And he was very scattered in that first half. Angeli, over 50 passing attempts for a guy who really struggled to start this game. Maybe something you don't want to see a whole lot from this guy moving forward, just because of the way Willis, he's a true LaQuint Allen, if you will, on the ground to get Syracuse more yardage.
Yeah, in the end, Syracuse has to realize that the best way for them going forward with the offense is to run the football. As you talked about, Drew, Angeli is not Kyle McCord. This is not a guy that's able to drop back 50 to 60 times a game and absolutely sling it over the yard. Unfortunately, he was kind of forced into that role today when you get behind 17-6. You go in the hurry-up offense, but in the end, somehow the Orange got it done. But a lot of question marks moving forward. And let's not forget, this team has Clemson in Death Valley in 2 weeks. They got a lot to figure out if they want any chance at keeping up with the Tigers.
Don't get it twisted. After today's game, I'm not more confident in this Syracuse football team.
I don't think anyone is.
I'm less confident. A win's a win, but this was not a good performance by Syracuse.
Well, a win is still a win, is a win is a win, you know.
A win.
So the Orange will get it done either way. We'll take another short break here on Orange Press Pass, and when we come back, it's time to bring out the old panic meter. Steve Angeli, where are Syracuse chances for a bowl game after scraping out a victory at Lake today? We'll tell you on the other side after our quick break.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. That means it could be you, your favorite brother, your other brother, you, your football buddy, your football buddy, you, your plumber,
Breathe right into your foot.
your plumber's masseuse,
Yes.
you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. With early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Welcome back into our CitrusTV studios. Albaugh, Rahill, Jaiswal, Andrew Della, Piana back with you following Syracuse's 27-20 victory over UConn in overtime for the Orange to move to 1-1 on this young season after that tough loss to Tennessee last week. But oh boy, guys, there was a whole lot of this in this ball game. The panic meter. We'll bring it out for this one because there was a whole lot of panicking to do in this game, especially from the quarterback, Steve Angeli, who we heard some boos around JMA Wireless Dome. We heard, we want Ricky, and maybe the second half we almost could have seen Ricky, but Steve Angeli gets the job done. Second half, leads his team down the field, wins that game in overtime. But Rahill, where is your confidence level looking right now on the former Notre Dame quarterback?
So am I concerned about Steve Angeli? The question is, yes, absolutely yes. I mean, come on, yes, I get it. He was great in the second half, 417 yards, but you gotta be better against the UConn. Come on.
Over 400 yards.
I mean, you gotta go to Clemson at a later point this season. You gotta go to Notre Dame. You gotta play Miami. Heck, even when Bill Belichick comes to the Dome, although they might be awful, who knows with them, you have to be better than this. I get it, 417 yards is great, but a lot. I'm just very concerned. Did you see that interception he threw? It was horrible.
Not great.
It was horrible. He looked right at him.
Not great. But they're not playing Notre Dame or SMU. They played UConn. And what was enough for a victory over UConn? How about 27 points? How about 3 touchdowns in his last 3 drives? How about over 400 yards passing? Steve Angeli came through when he needed to, and I am not concerned about Steve Angeli if, and this is a big if Fran Brown puts the ball in his running back's hands like a Nixon, like a Yasin Willis. That is the crucial key to make sure that Steve Angeli flourishes in 2025. Not worried as of right now. I could be, if this was
like about the
scale,
halfway mark.
I'm like here.
All right.
I'm like there.
I think Rahill's over by where Steve is standing right now.
Right there.
You know Syracuse won, right?
I mean, it felt more like I get it.
I want to make sure, we're on the same page.
Yeah,
over
okay.
400 yards. So, okay.
All right, I'll let you.
He's a lot more positive than me.
I know, he's a positive guy. It's that beautiful smile he's got. But let's talk a little bit more big picture. I know we're only after game 2 of the season, but guys, bowl game predictions. We just heard about that schedule that Syracuse is going to be playing in the next couple of months or so. Is this a team still, Drew, that's going to be making a bowl game come late November into December?
I know it was just positive, Paulie, but I'm going to be down Drew here because
come on.
Syracuse is not making a bowl game. Look, you got to get to 6 wins to make a bowl game. And Syracuse's schedule is absolutely brutal. Don't gotta tell you guys twice, but Syracuse has to figure out how to get a couple wins against a Pitt, an SMU, heck, maybe even upset a team like Miami down the stretch. I don't see it.
Yeah, Syracuse's bowl game chances are like the percentage of me maybe growing an extra couple inches. It's not happening. It's not happening at this point. I mean, come on, Drew, you broke down their schedule. The fact that you can barely scrap a win against UConn, I mean, good luck trying to take on some of the squads like Miami, like Notre Dame, like Clemson later in the season. Even a squad maybe like a Boston College. I mean, Syracuse lost that game last year, so the likelihood that they can try and maybe...
So you're saying 0%?
Yeah, I'm throwing a big fat goose egg. 0% chance Syracuse gets to a bowl game. How about this? If Syracuse gets to a bowl game, I will come on here and I will do a public apology.
You will?
I will.
I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll do a public apology
if
if
Syracuse
Syracuse
down
gets
on
to a
this
bowl
show.
game.
A whole lot of negative from you, but maybe a whole lot of positive in the win column for Syracuse to pick up this 27-20 victory over UConn. All right, that wraps things up on our panic meter from the Panic Bros over here. But when we come back, we will sound off and hear from our reporter, Gino Antimarino, who is inside the JMA Wireless Dome, and give you our final thoughts from this one at SU.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation letter.
You're resigning.
Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you eat stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me.
Okay, but remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Wrapping up shop here on Orange Press Pass after Syracuse survives UConn 27-20 in the Dome opener of 2025. Drew Albaugh, Rahill, Jaiswal, Andrew Della, Piana back with you inside our CitrusTV studios. And we can't forget about the fourth man of our crew, Gino Antimarino, who is inside the Dome for this one. Gino, I want to hear your thoughts from this wild one inside the Dome today, my friend.
Orange Press Pass. What a group we got in studio today, and what a finish we got in this game. No better crew to cover this than you three back in the studio. Yeah, it was a fantastic ending in this one for sure. I mean, Syracuse couldn't find pay dirt up until the fourth quarter, and that was because Justice Ross Simmons had a big-time catch to bring it just to within a one-score game. It was Yasin Willis who then took the lead for Syracuse. UConn tied things up with a field goal going into overtime. It was Justice Ross Simmons who got the eventual game winner. It was all Justice Ross Simmons. Fran Brown talked about him after the game and said it's just been an everyday grind. That's the type of player he is since last season. And the guy who was feeding him the ball was Steve Angeli, over 400 yards through the air today. And you talk about just that leadership, never giving up. It was a sloppy 3 quarters going into that fourth. There were some frustrations here at the JMA Wireless Dome, but these guys really settled in nicely and just really responded to the adversity, and that's really what it was all about in this one. You know, at the end of the day, it's a win for Syracuse, but some sprints at the end of this game. Fran Brown said post-game that, you know, if you don't play to the standard, we're going to make you guys run. So it's kind of a fun way to end the game, but obviously Syracuse gets the win, but obviously want to make it a lot cleaner. Back to you guys in the studio.
Yeah, thanks so much, Gino. This was truly a dark game if I've ever seen it for Syracuse because, Drew, you already mentioned it. This is a loaded schedule coming up from Syracuse. Already mentioned as one of the toughest in all of the land. We talked about the big one a little bit earlier. Clemson, number 8 on the schedule. That will be in Death Valley. You got to host Duke. Yeah, they had a really bad game against Illinois today. And then you go to SMU. 2 really tough road games, guys. But maybe sandwich in the middle of that is a Colgate game next week that you'd love to have on your schedule.
You're going to need to have that Colgate game, quite frankly, because
yeah, absolutely.
Clemson, Duke, and SMU, if I'm a betting man, which I'm not, probably going to be losses. You know, obviously,
all of them?
Probably. I mean, Clemson's a top 10 team in the country. SMU, I know they just lost today, but that's a better squad than Syracuse as of right now. That Colgate game is a must-win, and Syracuse is probably going to win by a couple of scores, but looking forward, the schedule is rocky.
It's going to be really tough coming up, Drew, but hopefully this will be a little bit safer part of the show. It's now time for my favorite part of the show, where it's time to sound off the alarms. It's time for my analysts to sound off. Let's do it, guys.
Congratulations to Syracuse and Fran Brown for getting a win today. And for Fran Brown particularly, he gets to hop in the shower as winners do get washed. But unfortunately, fans gear up. It's going to be a very, very long season. And particularly because this schedule is absolutely brutal. We've already mentioned it before, but come on. If you're the Orange and you're struggling against UConn, it's not going to happen. Fran Brown might have to go a couple of weeks potentially without hopping in the shower because there's not going to be a lot of winning for this Orange squad. Maybe 4 games, maybe 5, but definitely nowhere near 6 nor 7 for a bowl game. Fans, gear up. I'm sorry for incoming freshmen, but it's not going to be a really fun season for you guys.
All right, Rahill. I know this segment is designed for myself and Rahill to really go all out. Let our emotions show, yell, heck, maybe even be a little bit dramatic. But as this game unfolded, I slowly came to the realization that the best thing to do is not to scream, blame, or praise a variety of different players, coaches, or personnel, but to simply temper our expectations and enjoy. 2025 Syracuse is not 2024 Syracuse. Trust me, I get it. It's tough to watch constant mistakes, mishaps, and miscommunications. But that's the reality when you lose a generational quarterback, your top 3 offensive weapons, and the anchors of your defense. Allow yourself to be frustrated, elated, and a myriad of different emotions, but also understand this Orange team is not last year's squad. Don't expect them to be what they're not, so listen carefully. This season, do yourself a favor. Sit back, enjoy the ride, and most importantly, temper your expectations.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful monologue, my friend. Let's hope we can keep that up against Colgate coming up next Saturday. Yes, we talked about this being an FCS opponent since Colgate. They've been playing this game since 1891, this matchup, and hopefully a get-right game for Syracuse to get back over 500.
Did you say 1891?
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
That's older than you.
Yeah, it's much older than me. Much older than all of us, I think, combined. A lot more.
Yeah, Syracuse should brush This one aside, I get it.
Oh,
Colgate,
come on.
toothpaste. I had to sneak the toothpaste joke in there eventually.
You think Syracuse is going to come out pretty easily, though, in this one?
Yeah, brush them aside, whatever. You can wipe them away with the dental floss. This is a win for Syracuse.
Well, hopefully the Orange get it done to move to 2-1 on this season. But that does it for our time here on Orange Press Pass. I thank you to everyone, Gabe, Perrin, and the entire producer crew, saying so long and good night.